Hi guys. So in this video, what I'm going to cover is a very sensitive topic, but I had a client ask me to make a video about this, so I'm going to do it. And this is going to be a brief video. I'm going to do a bit more research and do some longer videos with some more statistics on this subject. This is a pretty heavy subject matter, but it definitely needs to be covered. I'm going to talk about suicidal ideation when you're coming out of a relationship with a narcissist, when you're trying to break a trauma bond, or as a result of narcissistic abuse. Many people who have experienced narcissistic, psychopathic, or sociopathic abuse experience suicidal ideation. Whether that ideation manifests in the form of sort of planning and being, sort of planful and more serious, I shouldn't say more serious about it, but like being more planful about it, or just this feeling that you don't really care if you live or die. You don't really care if you get hit by a truck or a train or if something happens to you. Now, I am going to put some links below this video, some hotlines and some phone numbers that you can call if you are currently suffering or experiencing suicidal ideation. It's so important that you reach out for professional help if this is happening with you. So important. Or if you are seeing a therapist, if you let your therapist know that you know the truth about what you are experiencing. This is a subject that people might have shame talking about, but I just want to reiterate that many people who get out of these relationships, or who are still in the trauma bond, or who are in these relationships, experience these thoughts, these feelings, and you are not alone if you are going through this. And I think some of the reasons for it is, one, you feel you're so invalidated because this is covert abuse. It is hidden abuse. People cannot see it. Quite often, there's very little evidence, especially if you're with a psychological and emotional manipulator, abuser, and gaslighter. Nobody sees what's happening, right? You probably didn't even see what was happening. You may not have even known that you were being abused, right? It's so subtle. It's so manipulative. It's so under the radar. And this person, typically, if they're the covert, they look nice. The world thinks that they're just a lovely person, right? So here you are feeling like you're dying, and you're being abused, you're suffering from brain fog, you have a trauma bond, and you have somebody who is literally, I consider them like soul vampires. I mean, they are sucking your soul. They're feeding on your emotions, whether negative or positive. They're so sort of dead inside that they really require food and supply. And what happens to the recipient or the survivor is incredible depletion of their resources, their emotional resources, their psychological resources, their energy. You're literally getting sucked dry, right? So that's what's happening to you. You've been master manipulated on this horrific level. And it is not uncommon for people in this community to be experiencing suicidal thoughts, or just the idea that they don't care whether they live or die. They don't really care what happens to them. So it's so important that if you are going through this, I really encourage you to call one of the numbers that I'm going to provide below in the link, to reach out to your therapist, and to come, let people know, let your close, trusted friends know that you're suffering from this. And I understand a lot of them, it's scary to say this because they might not understand, because, quite often the abuse is so covert and so hidden that people can't see it, which further adds to that feeling of isolation, because you feel that that you're just completely invalidated. You don't feel like anyone understands what you're going through. You feel very, very lonely and isolated. And that is why community support is so important. That is why reaching out for a narcissistic abuse support group, or getting into a 12-step CODA, or adult children of from dysfunctional families, ACOA, and alcoholism, reach out to a support group, a therapist, a trusted professional, or call a 1-800 number. It is so important that you no longer stay in the shadows, and that you no longer isolate. You need love, you need community, you need support, you need connection, you need to speak to people who have been through what you are experiencing. It is vital that you reach out and get the help that you need. It is not uncommon. Lots of people who are in this community experience this. What I can offer you is a glimmer of hope that eventually you will get over on the other side. If you go no contact and if you start doing the work to heal your trauma from this experience, and you get to a therapist, hopefully you could do some EMDR, you get a narcissistic abuse recovery coach, or do whatever you need to do on your journey to heal, address some of the codependence or the childhood trauma that placed you or allowed you to sort of stay in this position to be hurt for the possibility of love and approval from somebody who cannot bond, who cannot connect, who cannot love. And these feelings that you may be having of hopelessness and depression, and you don't care whether you live or die. I mean, this stuff is not uncommon to be having some of these feelings. Some people have committed, or some people have taken their own life as a result of narcissistic abuse and the trauma that is a part of this, and the post-traumatic stress syndrome that comes along with it, and the complex PTSD symptoms that become so overwhelming that people feel that they cannot go on. And I want to encourage you, if you are in that state, if you are feeling those feelings of hopelessness, if you are feeling those feelings of acute depression, and like you just can't see the point anymore, and if you're feeling like that emptiness and that like deadness inside, I promise you can get over on the other side of it. You just got to put one foot in front of the other. And it's so important that you reach out and get the help and the support that you need. I just can't reiterate that enough. You are not alone. People in this community, there's thousands, there's millions probably of people who have experienced this narcissistic abuse, and you are not alone. Other people know what you're going through. Other people know what you've been through. And there are people that are further along in the healing journey that can provide and offer some support. You can get over on the other side. This is a mountain that you're climbing. And one day you're going to get to the top of the mountain and you're going to be free. And then the rest is going to be downhill, running down the mountain. So that's my rock climbing mountain analogy. But there is incredible hope for you. There's incredible healing. There are some opportunities for incredible growth from this experience. And you get to, if you apply what you've learned, you get to learn wonderful, healthy boundary settings so that you can, never get into a relationship with a toxic individual again. You can learn to spot the red flags and, get out of there. Like, run for the hills. So if you were experiencing any of these thoughts of hopelessness, depression, suicidal ideation, please reach out and please get some professional help, or call the 1-800 number, reach out to a therapist, reach out to a doctor, reach out to a medical professional, or some very close friends that you trust or family that you trust that can help you to get the help that you need. But there is another way. You do not need to go down that path. There is a better way, and I promise you will get over if you do the work, and in time with healing, you can break the trauma bond, go no contact, you can get some healing, and you can really start to experience joy and happiness and zest for life again, and those feelings of emptiness and uselessness will disappear. Another note, if you are drinking alcoholically, or if you are doing drugs, or if you're doing anything self-destructive, it's not uncommon for survivors in this community to reach out for substances or for behavioral addictions to help sort of feel better. I really encourage you, if you're struggling with alcohol, too much alcohol, or alcohol addiction or drug addiction, please go. There's many 12-step recovery meetings. You can get on Zoom and you can get some help for, sort of the substance abuse or substance use disorder. So please, if you are doing, suffering in any way like this, I encourage you to reach out and get the help that you need. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.